So then we have this Hex Machine at Hex Machine V2B. Please follow him on Twitter. He's excellent. He thanks Crypto Man ran for having Richard on to destroy Mike Alfred and other guy, I don't even know his name, Jordy Alexander. They got exposed as shallow-minded frauds again. So big shout out to Hexkins for highlighting great material. That was awesome material. Let's just have a look if we can.
I think that speaks to the general strategy that people should have around their balance sheet here. I think there's two strategies that sort of work well. One is just selling your Bitcoin every day.
Selling your Bitcoin every day. That was a big thing that Richard Hart talked about with negative externalities. Basically, obviously, let's take a look at what the mining. Yeah, if you look at the mining rig, like how expensive it is to maintain it, and then you obviously have salaries, you have mechanics, you have people cleaning it up. It's so ridiculous. It's so not necessary. There's ways to secure a network with proof of stake now. BNB does it. Cardano does it. Ethereum, the most used blockchain, now does it, and it works fine. There's no reason for this. And obviously, like Mike said himself, in order to keep the margins, in order to make a profit, to turn a profit, they have to keep selling their Bitcoin.
It comes from the same place Bitcoin miners' revenue comes from.
Can you guys hear?
See, Bitcoin has locking as well. You lock up your money in mining hardware, and you lock up your money in electricity bills.
There's two strategies that sort of work well. One is just selling your Bitcoin every day.
That hurts the price, but rewards people for on-ramping. So Ethereum inflates. It has net inflation, and yet the price pumps hard back. Bitcoin inflates, and that's how you go from 0 coins to 19 million coins over 10 years, is by hyperinflating, basically. And its inflation used to be exponentially higher. It was 2 times higher every 4 years we go back. And so the best time to buy Bitcoin was when there was no liquidity. There was one place to buy it in the world, Mt. Gox. Everyone called it a scam. And all the coins were owned by one guy. And then you look at Hex, and you're like, it has centralized ownership. Look, all the coins are in basically a couple addresses. Look, everyone calls it a scam. Look, it has low liquidity. Look, it's only traded a couple places. And you're like, hey, those are exact same properties that allowed Bitcoin to go up 69 million%.
Yeah, so obviously we know that a lot of people say that Hex has a lot of similarities to Bitcoin in its early days. But what I really liked about this, is how Richard said that the time when Bitcoin had its greatest gains, its greatest price appreciation, was actually during when it had its highest inflation. And I think that's very important. Like that is key, like to understanding, what makes something valuable, what causes things to lose value and things like that. It's not just an increase in the supply for the money to be devalued or for crypto to be devalued. And you see, it's actually like the opposite of what everyone thinks. As Bitcoin becomes less and less inflationary, the gains get smaller and smaller because it really just comes down to adoption and like how many people are using it. And the more people use it, the less people there are really to adopt it. I'm saying the less people there are really to onboard. So as a percentage. So I'm saying when you have a lot of people coming in the beginning, it's an insane percentage appreciation. It's like many multiples. Like when you have one person using Bitcoin and then you onboard one person, then that's a 100% increase. But then when you have 10 people, you have 9 people, and then you onboard one person, that's only a 10% increase. So I think there is some sort of correlation of the price action with that in some sort of way. It's not direct, but meaning the more people that you have in the community, the less people there are to bring in. So, your returns diminish. That's not to say that a crypto, once it achieves full adoption, it's only going to go down. I think because the money supply is always expanding, there's always more money to go in it. And, there's a limited amount of needs that people have. Meaning like people only need to spend so much money and they'll just keep, and with the excess money, they'll just leave it in, let's say, Bitcoin. And they won't cash out, and then the price could just go higher and higher. But it is to say that the despite the high inflation, the best times to get in are in its earliest stages, and the increase in the supply is not as important as people think. It is important, but it really is dependent on that supply, on the liquidity, and that supply being cashed out on exchanges for dollars and things like that. The velocity, as they say in economics. If that makes any sense. What do we got here? Oh, and I like this one. This is the last hex one. Then we got I got some pulsechain updates, because I know everyone likes pulsechain. I know pulsechain. I think in the short term, I think pulsechain is going to be the best performing crypto, in my opinion, not financial advice. I think hex is better in the long run, but pulsechain is the hype. It is the exciting ecosystem. But says, if you're not buying 95% discount Hex Solana, follow her at stake Hex5555, can't help you once pulsechain launches. Most are speculating which will perform better, Pulse versus PLSX, when the answer is Hex will outperform everything. This isn't financial advice because it's winning in life, math advice, LOLs. 95% off. Definitely a great time to DCA, in my opinion, not financial advice. But it is interesting that also she said that Hex is going to outperform Pulse and PulseX. I do believe that in the long run. I think game theory matters. I think incentivizing not selling matters. But I think when you're looking at two cryptos, well, it's really three, because Pulse and PulseX, that I believe are going to make it. The first cycle outperforms the second cycle, and Pulse is in its first cycle. But if you think you're just going to buy Pulse and not Hex, and you'll be better off, for me personally, not financial advice, I don't think that's true. I think you're gonna gravitate towards those tendencies of like trying to time the market, and when you try to time the market, you always lose. With Hex, you time lock, and that's when you cash out, and you're really not gonna get shaken out and sell early, and you're also earning the yield. So that's really what I think about that. But yeah, moving on.